This is the Solid Signal podcast for the week of February 3rd, 2020. So it turns out that last week's podcast was one of the most successful ones in podcast history. That may have just been a fluke, or it may have actually had something to do with the topic suggested by our own blogger Jake Buckler. I pick on Jake Buckler a lot, but that's only because he deserves it. Buckler came up with an idea for a blog topic, and I did a podcast on it. And it worked. So I'm going to challenge him to do another one and another one and another one through the month of February. Let's see what happens. Is he a one-hit wonder? A one-trick pony? Who knows? But it's going to be fun finding out, right? Well, this week, Buckler wants me to talk about installers. Buckler says, and he is absolutely right, as much as it pains me to say it, that the world of installers is going to change a lot in the next 5 years. If you're out there making your money, running cable, fishing lines through walls, putting stuff in attics, putting dishes on roofs, your life's going to change. It's going to change in a really big way. And you've got to be prepared. You've got to be prepared to install more kinds of things than you ever did before. You know, I think back to my own days looking at this sort of thing, and there was a time that you could make a pretty decent living working as much as you possibly wanted to, just installing satellite TV, or just installing antennas, or just doing network wiring. And the truth is that's just not possible anymore. You've got to be a lot more flexible now, which means you've got to be trained for the kinds of wiring that people want today. It's obviously a lot less telco wiring, and even to some extent less Ethernet if you're dealing with residential. It's less satellite and more having to do with antennas and cell boosters and 5G wiring and network repeaters and all sorts of stuff. It's wiring that isn't even wiring. It's dealing with wireless stuff and understanding how that whole vision works. And it's not only just training, I hate to tell you. But you're going to need a lot more tools in your toolkit. And I don't mean, like imaginary metaphorical tools like here's something you need to learn. I mean real tools. You're going to need termination kits for every kind of cable that you're working on. You're going to need meters and test equipment. You're going to need more kinds of ground blocks. And I certainly hope all you installers out there are putting in proper ground blocks and obeying local ordinances on that stuff. That's the kind of thing that really makes the difference between a quality installation and one that is just rushed through that you'll have to deal with again. Making sure that you're using the right kind of cable. You're going to need more kinds of stuff on your truck, more kinds of cable, and as you even see more ordinances being enacted, more areas needing plenum-rated cable, for example, which is better for fire resistance. It's better. It doesn't, give off toxic fumes when it burns, in other words. More thin cables that might run through smaller crawl spaces, especially since, you're going to be running, if you're doing commercial installations, you're going to be running 6 to 7 pieces of coax through every single conduit, which perhaps in the past you were running between 1 and 4. The whole world is changing, and there's really only one place to make sure that you get all the stuff you need, not just the learning, but also the tools, the real physical stuff to get that job done, and that's solidsignal.com. I got to tell you, installers, we have spent something like, $500,000 on adding parts. We have added tens of thousands of parts for installers only, the kind of test equipment that nobody would need except for you, the kind of connectors and custom cables that are specific to installers, the kind of thing that will help you make money as we move forward into the next 5 to 10 years. Not only that, we're adding more services at solidsignal.com. In addition to DirecTV, satellite activations, we're doing cellular stuff. We're doing all sorts of things that are going to help you become a real expert out in the field. And the hope is you won't have to spend a lot of money or spend a lot of time doing it. Of course, it depends on what you've got already right now, but you'll find that the best value for this sort of thing is going to come from Solid Signal because you'll find the tools that you need. Whether you need a $20 signal meter or a $2,000 signal meter, a $20 cable prep tool or a $1,000 one, you're going to find the right one for you. There's going to be a great selection. And you're not going to have to go through some of these sites that don't know anything about what you do. The folks at Solid Signal speak your language. We know what's going on in those installer vans, and we are here to help. That's really the whole podcast for this week. I hope you have a great one, and we'll see what Buckler comes up with next. Let's see if he was a one-trick pony or if he's actually got some talent. I'm kind of hedging my bets.